Have you ever looked at the person you love and quietly wondered, why do we still care about each other but feel so far apart? Have you ever lain next to your spouse at night, close enough to touch, yet felt like there was an invisible distance between your hearts? Maybe the love is still there. You still worry about them. You still share a home, memories, responsibilities, and a life. But the softness feels different now. The closeness that once came naturally may feel uncertain, awkward, or even painful to talk about. One partner may feel rejected, the other may feel pressured, tired, or misunderstood, and both may be silently wondering, what happened to us? This is one of the most confusing struggles in marriage because it does not always look like a broken relationship from the outside. You may still laugh sometimes. You may still take care of each other. You may still be loyal. But inside, there may be a quiet ache, the feeling that love has remained, but intimacy has slowly disappeared. And if this is where you are, I want you to know, you are not alone, and this does not mean your marriage has no hope. In this video, we are going to gently understand why this happens, what it may really be telling you, and how a calmer, healthier kind of closeness can begin again. Love and intimacy are connected, but they are not exactly the same thing. And this is where many couples become confused. They think, if we still love each other, shouldn't closeness feel easy? But in real marriage, love can remain even when intimacy becomes quiet. Love can stay in the way you make coffee for each other, check whether the door is locked, worry when the other person is late, or remember their favorite meal. Love can still be present in responsibility, loyalty, history, and care. But intimacy needs something more delicate. Intimacy needs emotional safety. It needs softness. It needs enough calm in the body to feel open. It needs the feeling that you can be honest without being criticized, rejected, pressured, or misunderstood. And when life becomes heavy, when stress builds, when hurts are left unspoken, intimacy is often the first thing that quietly steps back. This does not happen overnight. Most couples do not wake up one morning and suddenly feel distant. It happens slowly. At first, maybe the conversations become shorter. Then the laughter becomes less natural. Then one partner stops reaching out because they do not want to feel rejected again. The other partner stops opening up because they feel tired, watched, or emotionally overwhelmed. And little by little, the marriage becomes functional. You may still manage the home, the bills, the children, the family events, the errands, the plans. But the part of the relationship that once felt warm and personal begins to feel like it is waiting somewhere in the background. And if this message is already touching something tender in you, please stay with me until the end. Sometimes understanding what is happening is the first gentle step toward changing the way you see each other. And if you want calm, mature conversations about marriage, intimacy, and emotional connection, you may consider subscribing to Dr. Liana Brooks Wellness. This space is here to help you feel less alone and more understood. One of the most important things to understand is that intimacy often disappears emotionally before it disappears physically. A couple may think the problem is desire, or attraction, or age, or routine. And sometimes those things are part of the picture. But very often, the deeper issue is emotional distance. When a person feels unseen for too long, their heart begins to protect itself. When a person feels criticized, dismissed, or taken for granted, they may stop feeling safe enough to be close. And when someone feels they are only approached when closeness is expected, but not emotionally cared for in daily life, the body may begin to pull away. This is not about blaming one partner. In most marriages, both people are carrying something. One partner may be thinking, why don't they want me anymore? While the other is thinking, why do I feel so much pressure when I am already exhausted? One may feel lonely. The other may feel inadequate. One may feel rejected. The other may feel like they can never do enough. And because these feelings are painful, many couples stop talking about them directly. Instead, they talk around the issue. They talk about the dishes, the schedule, the bills, the children, the repairs, the appointments. They may argue about small things because the bigger thing feels too vulnerable to name. Underneath the surface, what they may really be saying is, "Do you still see me? Do you still want to be close to me? Can I be honest with you without making everything worse? Are we still us?" This is why intimacy cannot be rebuilt only by telling a couple to spend more time together. Time helps, but only when it feels emotionally safe. A couple can sit in the same room for hours and still feel lonely. They can go out for dinner and still avoid the real conversation. They can sleep in the same bed and still feel afraid to reach for each other. True intimacy is not just about being near someone. It is about feeling emotionally received by them. For many couples, daily life slowly trains them out of tenderness, not because they are bad partners, but because they are tired. Work stress follows them home. Financial worries sit quietly at the dinner table. Parenting can drain every ounce of patience. Aging parents, health concerns, hormonal changes, body changes, and emotional fatigue can all affect the way people show up in marriage. By the end of the day, there may be love, but no energy. There may be care, but no playfulness. There may be loyalty, but very little softness left. And when tenderness disappears, partners often begin to make private interpretations. One person thinks, "Maybe I am not attractive anymore." Another thinks, "Maybe they do not love me the same way." Someone else thinks, "Maybe this is just what happens after many years." These thoughts can become heavy. They can create sadness, resentment, embarrassment, or even a quiet kind of grief. Not because the marriage is empty, but because something important feels missing. It is also very common for couples to become trapped in a pattern of protection. If one partner reaches out and feels dismissed, they may stop trying. If the other partner feels every moment of affection will lead to expectations they are not ready for, they may avoid affection altogether. Then both partners feel hurt. One says, "You never come close to me." The other says, "You only come close when you want something." And beneath both sentences is a longing to be loved without pressure and understood without judgment. This is where compassion becomes very important. Because when intimacy fades, couples often become harsh with themselves and with each other. They may think, "Something is wrong with me," or "Something is wrong with my partner," or "Our marriage must be failing." But many times, intimacy fades because the relationship has been carrying too much stress and not enough emotional repair. It fades when small hurts are stored instead of discussed. It fades when appreciation becomes rare. It fades when one partner feels invisible and the other feels constantly criticized. It fades when the marriage becomes a place of performance instead of safety. Around this point, I want to gently remind you, please do not use this video as a way to blame yourself or your partner. Use it as a way to understand the pattern. If you are finding this conversation helpful, consider subscribing to Dr. Liana Brooks Wellness and continue watching until the end, because the goal here is not to create guilt. The goal is to help you see your marriage with more clarity, more tenderness, and more hope. There is also a physical side to this conversation that deserves respect. Desire and intimacy can be affected by stress, sleep, health, confidence, aging, medications, menopause, hormonal shifts, pain, anxiety, depression, and body image. These are real factors. They do not make a person cold, selfish, broken, or uninterested in love. They simply mean the body and mind are connected. When the nervous system is tired, when someone feels emotionally unsafe, when the body feels uncomfortable, or when a person no longer feels confident in themselves, closeness can feel harder to access. This is especially important for couples in midlife and later life. A person may still love deeply but feel different in their body. They may feel less spontaneous, more self-conscious, more easily tired, or more emotionally sensitive. They may not know how to explain these changes without feeling embarrassed, and their partner may misread the silence as rejection. So both people suffer privately, not because love is gone, but because the language for closeness has been lost. One of the most healing shifts a couple can make is to stop asking only, "Why don't we have intimacy anymore?" and begin asking, "Where did we stop feeling safe with each other?" That question opens a different door. It moves the conversation away from blame and toward understanding. Maybe safety was lost through criticism, maybe through repeated disappointment, maybe through years of being too busy, maybe through feeling unwanted, pressured, neglected, or emotionally alone. Maybe both partners have been waiting for the other one to soften first. Rebuilding intimacy usually begins in small, ordinary moments. It begins when one partner says, "I miss feeling close to you," instead of, "You never care." It begins when someone listens without immediately defending themselves. It begins when appreciation returns to the room. A simple "thank you," a gentle touch on the shoulder, a calm check-in, a moment of eye contact, or a sincere "how are you really doing" can begin to reopen what stress has closed. But these moments must be honest. They cannot be used as a strategy to demand instant closeness. Intimacy grows best when it is not forced. It grows when both people feel they are allowed to be human, allowed to be tired, allowed to have fears, allowed to need reassurance, allowed to talk about desire, distance, aging, hurt, and longing without being mocked or punished for it. Many couples also need to learn how to speak more softly about painful things. Instead of saying, "You do not love me anymore," try, "I have been feeling lonely, and I do not know how to reach you." Instead of saying, "You always reject me," try, "When closeness does not happen between us, I start feeling unwanted, and I need us to talk about it gently." Instead of saying, "You are too distant," try, "I miss the warmth we used to have, and I want to understand what has changed for both of us." These softer sentences do not guarantee the conversation will be easy, but they reduce the chance that the other person will feel attacked. And when people feel less attacked, they can often become more honest. It is also important to rebuild emotional friendship. Many couples try to fix intimacy without restoring friendship first, but warmth often returns through simple connection: laughing again, sharing small stories, walking together, preparing a meal together, remembering something beautiful from the past, or creating a quiet moment with no phone, no criticism, and no pressure. These small acts may seem too simple, but they help the body remember, this person is safe. This person is not only my roommate or co-parent or problem-solving partner, this is someone I can feel close to again. And sometimes couples need support beyond a conversation at home. There is no shame in speaking with a qualified therapist, counselor, or healthcare professional, especially when emotional pain, physical discomfort, anxiety, hormonal changes, resentment, or long-term disconnection are part of the story. Getting support is not a sign that the marriage has failed. It can be a sign that the marriage matters enough to be cared for properly. One thing I hope you take from this video is that intimacy disappearing does not always mean love has died. Sometimes it means love has become buried under exhaustion. Sometimes it means the relationship has been living in survival mode for too long. Sometimes it means both partners are protecting themselves from pain they do not know how to express. And sometimes it means the couple needs to slow down, speak more honestly, and rebuild emotional safety before expecting closeness to feel natural again. So if you are listening to this and thinking about your own marriage, I want you to be gentle with yourself. Do not assume the worst. Do not reduce your whole relationship to what is missing right now. Look also at what remains. Is there still care? Is there still concern? Is there still a wish, even a quiet one, to feel close again? If there is, then there is something meaningful to work with. Begin with one honest conversation, not a confrontation. Choose a calm moment. Say what you feel without attacking. Ask what your partner has been feeling too. Listen for the emotion beneath their words. You may discover that behind the distance, there is sadness. Behind the frustration, there is longing. Behind the silence, there is fear of being misunderstood. And as you move forward, remember that closeness does not have to return all at once. It can return in small moments of warmth. A softer tone, a patient response, a shared smile, a gentle question, a willingness to try again without demanding perfection. Marriage is not only held together by passion, it is also held together by repair, tenderness, humility, and the courage to keep seeing each other as human. If this video helped you understand your relationship with more compassion, consider subscribing to Dr. Liana Brooks Wellness and watching more conversations like this. Here, we talk about marriage, intimacy, emotional connection, and adult love in a calm, respectful, and honest way. Love may remain even when intimacy feels distant. But distance does not have to be the final story. With patience, emotional safety, clearer communication, and sometimes the right support, couples can begin to understand what happened between them. They can stop seeing intimacy as a test and start seeing it as a language of trust, softness, presence, and care. And perhaps the question is not, why are we broken? Perhaps the gentler question is, what have we been carrying, and how can we begin to come back to each other with more kindness? That is where healing often begins. Not in pressure, not in blame, but in compassion, honesty, and the quiet decision to reach for each other again, one small moment at a time. If you are struggling with emotional distance, low desire, intimacy changes, or that quiet pain of feeling rejected in your marriage, I want you to stay with me. This video may help you understand what is really happening beneath the silence without blame or shame. And if this kind of calm, honest guidance speaks to you, consider subscribing to Dr. Liana Brooks Wellness, where we talk about marriage, intimacy, and emotional connection with care. Stay until the end because we will gently uncover the deeper emotional pattern behind intimacy fading and what can help couples begin reconnecting with more understanding.